In India, it seems pretty straightforward. Parliament makes laws for the country, and state legislatures make laws for their states. But when you really think about it, especially in a country as incredibly diverse as ours, it brings up a huge constitutional question.
Okay, let's really get into this. Imagine a big state, say Madhya Pradesh. The laws made for that state should apply everywhere inside its borders, right? But what about the parts of the state that are home to tribal communities, places with their own unique ways of life and governance? Should the exact same laws on things like land or forests apply to them? This is the core dilemma, and it's a massive issue in Indian polity.
So, to really understand this, here's our game plan. We'll start with the governance dilemma itself. Then, we'll dig into why a special status is even needed. After that, we'll see the brilliant solution the Constitution came up with, break down the two types of special areas it created, and finally, we'll cover all the key provisions and states that you absolutely need to know.
Right, so let's start with that basic conflict. You've got this idea of one law for everyone butting heads with the reality that you have all these different communities living within the very same state.
And here's the bottom line. If some tribal areas are less developed than other places, treating them the exact same way can be deeply, deeply unfair. It's not just about having the same rulebook. It's about whether that rulebook leads to a just outcome for people who are starting from totally different places. This gets to the very heart of substantive justice, not just formal equality.
This leads us right to the next big question. Why is this special status necessary at all? I mean, if treating everyone the same can be unjust, what are the specific reasons that call for a totally different approach here?
Well, for starters, you've got massive socioeconomic challenges. These areas are often way behind the rest of the country when it comes to development. But here's the really crucial part. If you just took the normal government systems, the ones that work fine in a city, and plopped them down here, it could actually cause huge problems and totally disrupt life for the people living there.
And it's not just about money or development. It's also about culture. We're talking about communities with their own distinct laws and customs that they've been following for centuries. You can't just expect them to adapt to massive, sudden changes from the outside. A new law could completely unravel a way of life that's been around for generations.
So, with such a complicated problem, what was the answer? Well, this wasn't some kind of an afterthought. The solution was baked right into the DNA of the country, the Constitution of India itself. It's a beautiful reflection of trying to balance both unity and diversity.
I mean, this is just brilliant. It shows how forward-thinking the framers of the Constitution were. They knew these areas needed extra help, special efforts to improve things. And, this is key, they gave that responsibility to the central government, making it a national priority to ensure justice for these communities.
Now, what's really smart is that the Constitution doesn't just have one single category. It doesn't use a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, it creates two different classifications to handle different needs: scheduled areas and tribal areas.
Let's break this down. On one side, you have scheduled areas. These are seen as backward and are governed by the 5th schedule. On the other side, you have tribal areas, which are considered to be even more backward and need even more protection and autonomy. These areas fall under the 6th schedule, which is very specific to a few states in the Northeast.
All right, if you're preparing for exams, this next bit is pure gold. Let's get down to the brass tacks, the specific schedules, the states, and the articles that make up this whole constitutional framework. First up, the 5th schedule. So, how many states have these scheduled areas? The magic number you need to remember is 10. Simple as that, 10 states.
And here they are: Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Odisha, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Himachal Pradesh. It's a good idea to just pause and really let this list sink in, because knowing it is absolutely essential.
Now let's switch gears to the 6th schedule. This one is for tribal areas in a few northeastern states, specifically Assam, Meghalaya, and Tripura. The big difference here is that these areas get a lot more autonomy, which is why this list of states is so much shorter and more specific than the one for the 5th schedule. So, what's the one constitutional provision that holds all of this together? It's Article 244, located in Part X of the Constitution. You have to remember this one. It's the article that makes all these special administrative systems for both the 5th and 6th schedules possible. So we've unpacked the whole constitutional framework. But this isn't just about history, right? This is a living, breathing part of how India is governed today. And that leaves us with a really important question to think about. How do we balance this need for protection and autonomy with the goals of development and national integration? Really, what should the future of governance in these areas look like? That's a huge question for our policymakers and a great one for you to think about.